So I have popped 3 sequences together so that you can practice this all together as one big thing, or you can skip to the bit that you want. So I'll start lying down. I think about how am I going to wake up my hips, my pelvis and my core. I'm breathing in, bringing the arms overhead, tensing every muscle in the body, and then as I exhale, I bring the arms down. So doing a few of these nice and slowly, so don't go too fast. Again, we're still waking up the body. We're just telling the muscles that we want to use them. Inhaling as the arms come up, tensing everything, pointing the toes away, and then exhaling, arms come down. So bring one knee in and give it a good squeeze. Maybe take some circles if you want to. And then we're going to pull the leg towards us. So one leg long and the other leg bent. Push away against resistance, so your heel against the mat, and then pull it back towards you. So we're activating those muscles in the hips, in the hip socket, and also the core. So brace the core and slide the foot away from you, slide it back towards you. Give it another good squeeze. And then we'll do the other side. So move the legs as gently as you need to support your hips, whatever your range of motion is. You might not be able to extend the leg all the way. You might not be able to squeeze the leg all the way in. So be sensitive to however your hip sockets are feeling and any other part that's sensitive. So dragging against resistance on the mat, pushing it away. You can see it's not terribly smooth here because I'm dragging it rather than lifting and pulling it. So we're increasing mobility as well as warming up through the hips a little bit. So if you are in that position where it's difficult to actually get up, this is a good way of starting moving the body and waking up the pelvis. Give it another good squeeze. Then both legs in, we're going to take some curl ups into bridge. So keeping the hands either side of your body and rolling out bone by bone through the spine. Obviously, you might not be able to feel every bone of your spine moving separately, but we look to articulate this as much as possible. Nice mobility in the spine helps the mobility everywhere else. So if you feel at all restricted, lifting the hips up on an inhale, and as you exhale, lowering down. Again, it doesn't really matter how many you do of everything, as long as you have an equal number on either side if it's a single side situation. You can go into versions of happy baby, so bringing the knees in, holding behind the thighs, around the ankles or outsides of the feet. You can have a little rock from side to side if that feels okay. The knees drop either side of the rib cage if the flexibility is there. If not, they're going to be a bit higher up, and we might only be able to grab hold of the fronts of the knees in that position. And that's another version of it. So just do whichever version is going to work for you on the day. That may change from day to day. So we're taking a bit of a twist here, just bending one knee and bringing it across the body. You might want something supporting under the knee. If there's any restriction in the lower to middle back as well, you might not be able to keep the far shoulder down, but that's okay. We work with whatever mobility we have on the day, and we press very gently into that. So changing sides, taking that knee over, taking long deep breaths. Just steady breaths as you move through the different shapes, move through the poses. staying long enough to really feel that it's doing you some good. Coming back to center, gently bending the knees. And we're dropping the knees out to the sides if that feels good at this point. To open into the inner thighs, you can block under the tops of the thighs to support that if the movement, the external rotation is difficult for you. For me, it's the internal rotation on my left hip that's an issue. But for many of us, that external rotation is going to be challenging. So you can start by opening out a little bit here, pillow under each knee if you need it, or a block. Bringing the arms overhead if you want to. And then use the hands to help the legs back together. We can drop the knees, feet wide, drop the knees in towards each other just to offset any tightness at the back of the pelvis there. Hug the knees in. And here I would bring my forehead to my knees and just see how my back's feeling. If it's feeling quite tight, I might not be able to rock if it's early in the morning. I've been up for a while in this video, so rocking forwards and backwards to massage along the spine, coming up into a seated position, and then I'm going to transition into a twist to extend my hip flexor. So if we're turning to the left, knees to the left, turn to the left and walk your hands away from you, behind you. It's quite a twist, it's quite a deep twist. And then you can slide that top leg, in this case the right leg, away from you to create more length down the psoas muscle that comes from the middle back really all the way down to the top of the thigh bone. So we use this muscle chronically when we're running, for example, so it can get really, really tight, especially if it's not being supported by the abs properly when we're doing other movements. So again, this time knees to the right, looking behind me, bringing my chest towards the mat. You might not be able to bring your chest all the way down. My spine is doing pretty well at the moment, so that's all good. But then I extend the left leg away, so the top leg extends away. And to add to that, you can actually pull the belly in. And I find that kind of emphasizes the psoas stretch for me. Okay, gently coming out of that one. And I've taken my feet wide. I'm swaying the knees from side to side here. Again, this internal rotation there on the left side is difficult for me, but this might be quite a nice one for you. It doesn't feel too bad to me today, to be honest. It's not bad. So how are you feeling? Checking in always with your body as you move through, not forcing anything. There shouldn't be any forcing. Listen to what your body is telling you, even if you don't like what you're hearing. Okay, we're going to open out into a fan pose. So knees to the left, feet to the right, press into the knees, lift that right arm up and over. Strong glutes. So I'm activating my glutes. I'm pulling my belly in towards my spine. Then bum goes down, change sides. My left knee is in the sole of my right foot, if that helps with the alignment. Left arm comes up this side. We are placing right hand down to support. I gaze down. I don't see any point in gazing up in this one. I just want to open the front of the hip. And then coming onto hands and knees. Just taking a couple of happy cat and angry cat to loosen again into the spine. Drawing the belly in, tucking tail on the angry cat, opposite on the happy cat, but keeping the belly pulled in at all times. Then we're going to pedal out in our downward dog. Don't get overly concerned with having both legs straight simultaneously or at all in your downward dog. Pull belly to spine to support. If you can, drop the chest in line with the shoulders, but no deeper than that. You can bend the knees to help you open the shoulders there, and we work towards those legs being straight, so you can kind of bend and extend to get that extension into the hamstrings and the calves as well. As we pull the heels down, the calves will get a stretch. Okay, so this is your second section. Moving from downward dog, we're gonna shoot forwards into a plank position repeatedly. And this really warms up the thighs. It's one of my favorites to warm up the thighs. It's kind of like a bear, little bit of a just beyond bear hold towards child's pose, but without the knees down. And we shoot forwards into plank as long as your shoulders and wrists are ready to do that. Otherwise, you can take it as I am here, slightly more slowly and gently. You could warm up the wrists beforehand also if that's something that you find you need to do. So you can either step forwards into your ragdoll, or as I showed second, you can come down to the knees, come up to standing in the way that you need to, and then fold again with the feet hip distance or slightly wider into your ragdoll, hanging all the way from the hips, bending the knees, swaying from side to side, and just really enjoying that lovely opening to the backs of the legs and the whole of the back of the body. Allow the head to hang down. And then we're going to sweep up through a chair position. It's basically a hinge, and we're sweeping the arms up and over. And we're going to do this repeatedly. We're warming up the hamstrings here and the glutes. It's very much a kind of good morning motion. So you can do up to 10 of these, just to kind of oil the joints. And then I'm showing you this sideways. You might want to go sideways on the mat, so you're still on the sticky mat. And it's a sway squat. You can prop the elbows on the thighs if you need to, or you can hold the hands at center if that feels comfortable for you. Try and keep the hips low, but don't put pressure on the knees here. I'm popping my toes up. I don't even realize that I'm doing that when I do it, but you don't need to do that. You can keep the foot flat, stay nice and stable. Here's just a fun fluid movement to oil again into the hips. So finding our mountain and then coming into some easy squats, so bodyweight squats. Again, you can go up to 10 of these, getting some activation in the muscles, beginning to wake up the body a little bit. I love when I start to feel really alive and I start to get that heat in the muscles. You could do this section 3 times if you wanted to. You could do that 3 times. So showing you the mountain from the front. Activate big toe, little toe, heel. You'll find the fronts of the shins engage. Thighs, glutes, lifting all 4 sides of the waist, wrapping shoulders and tucking the chin in towards the throat. I'm going to show you that again. Side facing. It's a little bit difficult to see in this light. I'm aware of that. But if you listen to the instruction as well, it should all make sense. So pulling up through the whole of the body, all the core muscles, big toe, little toe, heel, shins, thighs, glutes, waist, wrap shoulders and tuck that chin in towards the throat so we're not shortening the back of the neck. Inhale, looking up, palms together, exhale, fold forwards. Knees can bend. Inhale, half lift again, knees can stay bent. Then we step or we jump back into plank. I'm ready for jumping here. Lower down, chaturanga or knees and chin, as I'm showing second. Inhale through little cobra. And then we go back into downward dog. Of course, if you need to come onto forearms, if the back bend is a little bit more restricted, come onto forearms into Sphinx, and then in the same way, press back via the knees into your downward dog. Find yourself in downward dog and step forwards with that right foot. Now, don't fling the leg up and shoot the foot forwards. I want you to use your core to bring that foot forwards. You can use the right hand to help if you need to. Coming into warrior one, so the back heel drops down, right knee over ankle. Pressing down through your padabandha, so your big toe, little toe, heel. Thighs wrap around the bone. We're lifting glutes. We're lifting out the waist. Shoulders still wrapped. And breathing here. I'm going to move myself a little bit further back because I don't want to come out of frame when I come into the warrior three. But bringing hands down through heart center, palms together, easing forwards over that right leg and lift the left leg. Allow the left leg to tilt the body forwards. You can keep yourself low in this position. As long as the back body is strong, you don't have to come to parallel with the mat. But what I don't want you to do is to pitch your body forwards like this. Draw the shoulders back, lift the leg. We don't want to drop the leg if we have the strength to lift it. So don't be lazy, basically. Pull belly to spine strongly here, hips are side by side. Then we're going to bring that knee through. Let me find my balance here. Hands on waist is just a little bit easier for me. We're dipping it down. Keeping the waist lifted really strong to support the psoas here and the thigh. Dipping in and out up to about 5 times. I think I've done 3 here. And then we're going to hold it for a count of 5. Here I am trying to show you my 5 fingers and falling over. Then we bring it back in without putting it down. Step back. Arms come up. Warrior one. And then hands down either side of the foot, step back plank, lower down chaturanga or knees, chest and chin. Elbows in, shoulders down in the cobra, and then back to downward dog. Again, you could have done Sphinx there instead of cobra if you prefer. Not a problem. Ease yourself into that downward dog, lifting belly, and step forwards with the other leg. So left leg comes forwards, arms come up, finding all those engagements, hips, waist, everything is lifted except the shoulders. We're wrapping the shoulders into the back of the waist. Okay, hands down through heart center, ready to come to warrior three on the other side. Easing forwards over that leg, find a gaze point underneath your face, basically. Allow the back leg to lift your body, to lower your body forwards. And we hold here. Again, we don't need to be all the way parallel. We just want more or less a straight line or a little bit of a curve through the back of the body, an upward curve. Then bring the knee forwards, really lift it up as high as you can, extend the leg may then want to drop anyway, but dipping it down 3 to 5 times. And then hold, counting. You can't actually see my fingers properly here. I'm counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breaths, that is, not seconds, ideally. Lift again and step back with control. Lovely. Arms up and then bring the hands either side of the foot to step back. Lower down, elbows in, shoulders down, no matter which version you choose. Inhale through cobra or onto the forearm Sphinx. And then exhale back, downward dog. Of course, upward dog is an option for those of you who are familiar with upward dog from chaturanga, which is lowering down through push-up position. Okay, we're going to take a little hop forwards with the legs, or you can step forwards. Inhale, half lift, exhale, fold into the legs. And then inhale, coming all the way up. You can soften the knees. Exhale, hands to heart. And you can take a little break here, have a drink. You can stop here if you want to, or you can move on to the next section. Have a little breathe. And we'll come into our next flow. So just stepping back with one leg, we're going to lengthen both legs, inhale, and exhale, fold forward. So I bent my knee again here just to illustrate. You don't have to go down with a straight leg, but we're working towards a straight leg on this right side. So again, you can bend and extend a little bit if you need to ease into it a little bit more gently. Pull the belly in, and you can have blocks under the hand as well if you need to. So here we are going to come into three-legged dog, and we're going to crunch inwards. Right elbow, left elbow, right elbow, left elbow. And then lay the knee down. So we're coming into a pigeon sequence here. This is not going to work for everyone. So this first section here, this first position where I'm sitting up tall and then I'm lowering over that right leg, this might not be suitable for your knees or your hips. I'm going to do another version. So sit this one out if you need to. I'm going to do another version of this stretch on the back in a moment. So coming out of that and bringing the back heel to the bum, you can drop onto that right hip completely to facilitate reaching that foot, as you can see here. Otherwise, you can stay over the hips and face a little bit more forwards for a stronger stretch, like so. Okay, let the leg go back, and then we're all going to drop onto that right hip, and we're going to come into that zigzag position again, that fan stretch, pressing into the knees, pressing the hips forwards, reaching back, lifting the heart up, lower down. You can use that left hand to help bring the leg into a half straddle, so sole of right foot onto left inner thigh. We're bringing the right arm up and over, or you can bring the right hand to the lower back if you prefer. If you go quite deeply into this, you can cross the left arm over to the right, and you can maybe grab that left foot with the right hand. This is for those flexi-lexies out there. Coming back to center, twisting to the right. And then bring that leg in with the hands if you need to, or do it as an exercise in hip stability and lift up and over a couple of times just to get that extra strengthening. Lengthen, inhale, exhale, fold. And breathe over this left leg. So slide the heart forwards, try not to round the spine. Slide the heart forwards, send the bum back. Try to drop the shoulders away from the ears. So when the body stops, just place the hands down either side of the leg. Okay, bring the leg in. You might be able to hold around the knee or around the back of the thigh or around the sole of the foot. And if you have the space to do so, you can start to extend the leg. Don't worry if it doesn't lengthen all the way. Try to bring the belly towards the thigh and the thigh towards the belly. And then lower it down through strength if you can. Okay, back into that downward dog. Bringing the leg out and coming into those crunches. Left, right, left, and right. Then lay the knee down. Left knee to back of left wrist. I sit up nice and tall on the knees, activate through the thighs and hips just to get that extra warming through the muscles before folding forwards. If that doesn't work for you, you can rest the hands on the leg, the mat, or on some blocks if you have them. Fold forwards. I usually block under this left hip, this being my dicky hip basically. And breathe here. I don't like to go too much into my flexibility on that. That's how it probably got sore in the first place. Inhale, walk back with the hands and bring the heel to the bum. Again, if you need to, drop onto that left hip to facilitate bringing that foot towards you, or stay over the hips for a stronger stretch to the front of that right hip and thigh. Again, you might need to be all the way on the hip. And we're going to come into that position anyway for fan. So right knee into the sole of left foot, lift the hips, lift the heart, right arm comes up if that's comfortable for the shoulder. Lowering down, bringing that right leg around through strength if you can, or with help. And coming into the side bend in that half straddle, opening into the lower back. Place hand behind the back if you prefer, or cross the arm over if it's getting in the way, if the shoulder's getting in the way really of you going deeper into that side bend. I love the way I'm situated exactly between the two boys here on the lake. I didn't mean to do that. Inhale, come back. Twist. So right hand, left knee. Nice long spine. And then lift that leg up and over, or use the hand to help it if you're still in that status where you need to be very gentle with what you're doing, if the hip still needs some rehab before you can do that strength work. Folding forwards, dropping the hands when the body stops, sliding the heart continuously down the leg, pushing the heel away if you can, and then bringing the knee towards you, bringing the foot towards you, and taking that extension if you have the space. Hands can come behind the thigh. Lift belly, really strong belly, and then lower down. Okay, so slide the bum towards the heels, lower down. You might want to watch this all first. It's a bit late in the day for me to be saying that, isn't it? And then pressing through the feet and lifting the hips. I just do a few little heel raises here to pass the time while I'm up here. I like to make things slightly more interesting for myself. Lower down, and we're going to take the other version of that pigeon. So right ankle over left thigh, thread the hands through, or a strap through behind the left thigh, draw it towards you. If you don't feel a strong stretch in that right glute, just sway the whole leg shape over to the left slightly. You should feel that stretch move across the glutes a little bit. You can stay in this, you could even pause this and stay in this as long as you need to. Changing size, left ankle over right thigh, thread the hands through behind the right thigh, draw it towards you. I just love that sunlight on the lake. Isn't it gorgeous? I hope you also have a lake, but if you don't, here's my lake. You can enjoy it. It's not my lake. All right, unravel. Hug the knees in. I just have the privilege of recording here. Place the feet down. And we're going to wrap the legs or stack the knees side by side. So if you're comfortable wrapping, shift the hips over to the right, take the knees over to the left, or same with the stacked knees, shifting hips and then taking the knees to the left. Arms come out wide or up into goalposts. And if you want the full twist, gaze to the right. If you want an opening in the right side of the chest, gaze to the left. Unravel. Shift the hips. Change the other way. Shift the hips to the left. Take the knees to the right. Arms can stay where they are. I finish most of my classes with this twist. It just resets the spine. And it also helps release any tension in the lower back after things like bridge or any back bends. Unravel, hug the knees in, have a little rock from side to side, maybe rotate the knees. I mean, we're not actually rotating the knees here, but you know what I mean. Create circles here with the legs. And then again into that Baddha, so that bound angle pose, soles of the feet together, knees drop out to the sides. You can block under the thigh if you want to. I'm just going to do a few little hips lifted clamshells here because I don't feel like I've worked hard enough. But don't feel you have to do this. You do not. I'm bringing my knees in towards each other now just to offset that. And then extend the legs, stretch away, activating all the muscles, and then release the hands down and settle and relax.